Oh, mate, all right.
There he is. How's it going, man?
Not bad, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, dude. I'm all right.
Good stuff.
Yeah, not too bad.
Cheers for jumping on. Thanks for yeah, last minute request.
No, that's all good, man. Thanks for having us on the pod.
Nah, yeah, yeah. All good. Cheers for getting in touch. Whereabouts are you based?
I live in West London, just Shepherd's Bush way. So yeah,
Okay.
a
Fair
bit.
enough. When did you move down there?
Well, 2001, I was in London. I moved down from Edinburgh.
Okay.
Um, in between times, like sort of lived here for a bit until sort of the Mardous finished, and then went and lived in Spain for a bit. Lived in Spain for about 4 years.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Um,
yeah, hence the Amy Joe link.
yeah, that's it,
But we'll
man.
get into that, I guess.
Yeah, it's all in good time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess for a bit of context then, mate, can you give us an idea of how you went from starting the band to signing a deal kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I moved down to London from Edinburgh in 2001, and before that, I was in a band in Edinburgh for a good couple of years with some good mates. One of whom was Ben, who's was in the Mardous. So Ben moved down a little bit after me, like a couple of months after I came down, and we I'd sort of got a little band going, and he just sort of came along to jam, and then. Well, just kind of started. It was sort of fell into another band by accident. The band we'd had in Edinburgh was all right. It was we had like a little like a deal with like a little indie label. It was pretty cool, but it just kind of petered out really. And I wanted to live in London, so yeah. So that was Ben and I were in London, and then Ben's really good at just he just like talks to everyone, man. So like we needed a drummer. There was like us two like writing tunes and stuff, and he would just hang around to sort of music shops in Denmark Street in London, and he sort of he told me like Lewis was coming in with an amp or something to get it fixed at this record shop, and he just said to him, "Oh, you look like a musician. Are you a drum? Do you play drums?" And Lewis was like, "Yeah, man, yeah." He says, "Oh, do you want to be in a band?" And Lewis was like, "Yeah." That was it. It was like that. It was that easy, man. And Lewis was really cool. And so it was like three of us. Didn't have a bass player, didn't have a singer, so I was sort of muggins had to. I was like, well, I'll play bass. I was a singer kind of in the old band, so I had to kind of learn bass a bit better than I could play it, and then learn to sing and play bass, which is like pretty weird experience. Um, I suppose when you're like playing bass, you're kind of sometimes doing the opposite of what the singing's doing, or like going like across it or something. But
Yeah.
we just sort of rehearsed loads. And Lewis was really cool. And Lewis was with us for a good while, and then he decided he wanted to go and do other things, and then we met Stevie, who was another drummer. So we had a couple of drummers in the Mardu, both very cool guys.
Yes. And why the move to London? Were you just intrigued kind of thing? Or did you have anything
Yeah,
set up to
yeah,
come down to?
I think so. We're in a band in Edinburgh, and we played like all over Scotland. We played like Tea in the Park and stuff, which was really cool. But and I like I'm obviously Scottish. I haven't been back that much. I don't like I've lived in London now more than I've lived in England more than I've lived in Scotland. And I think we just wanted to try and I don't know, just see what it was like somewhere a bit bigger.
Hmm.
Like Edinburgh's it's a capital city, obviously, but it's quite small. And Scotland, like at the time, probably not so much now, but like at the time, like if you're in a band in Glasgow or Edinburgh, you kind of knew like all the other bands pretty much, and that's great, but like I think we just wanted a change, you know. I think we just wanted a change, and I think we're ready for doing something a bit different as well. I definitely was, man. I wanted to do something a bit different, and I was like massively 2001, like that must have been like that was when this like Strokes debut album came out, and
I was going to say perfect year to move down, really.
oh mate, honestly, like it was just stuff was just happening, you know, like it was properly happening, like music for the first time in ages. I felt like I was really into it again, properly into music, like I've always loved music. That's why I've been in bands, but like that period, like the start of the noughties, like was just something else, you know, like it just felt fresh, like it started again, and it was like really interesting again.
Yeah, yeah. So how quickly did you feel like part of the scene, would you say? Or if at all?
How quickly what?
Did you feel part of the scene, if at all?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like again, like it's really funny, isn't it? Like now it's 20 years, which is terrifying in itself, right? But like looking back, you can kind of go, oh yeah, like you can recognize the scene, and like it's really like you could like draw a little map of it all and stuff now. At the time though, like you didn't, it wasn't at the time it wasn't like certainly for the first couple of years, it wasn't really something you kind of were able to look at from the outside. It was just bands playing like bands you'd always played, but the bands were better, and the fashion was, I was going to say better. I don't know if it was better, but it was definitely a style. Do you know what I mean? Like it was so I suppose that is a scene, but I wasn't. We weren't like really that aware of it. It was more like your friends. Do you know what I mean? Like it was more like your friends. They were wearing cool clothes. Oh yeah, I'm going to get a pair of them, and like they're playing that venue. That's pretty cool. Oh, let's play that venue. It's more like that. I mean, it definitely, obviously, clearly was a scene. And then the Cribs played Hey Scenester, and I was a bit like, yeah. And I started getting worried.
I think everyone got a bit self-conscious of that song,
Yes, like,
don't
we're talking about us. Oh
they?
shit.
But I mean, some of the photos you posted recently, you definitely get that vibe of like a group of mates, like that picture with the Cribs playing and the Paddingtons watching, and with you guys.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it just felt like one big kind of party, I guess.
Yeah, man, it definitely was. Like it was quite a lot. I mean, it was playing with a lot of the same bands. So like for us, it was like, well, obviously, well, the Paddingtons were there all the way through for us, like from the very start until like we pretty much broke up because we ended up going on tour with them. Like we toured the UK with the Paddingtons.
Oh,
That
really?
that
What
was
year was that?
amazing. 2005.
Okay, what the Highway to Hull thing?
I don't know if it
Maybe
was,
before then.
I can't actually remember. We'd done so many gigs with them, and then because of the Poptones thing, it must have been before like all the bands started getting dropped from Poptones because I think it was through Poptones we sort of they all sort of I think they saw us as being sort of cut from the same cloth, like musically, I suppose, maybe a bit. Um, but we'd sort of go on and we'd supported them up and down for about a week non-stop, but on and off, like over the course of quite a lot of time. So there's the Paddingtons, the Cribs were amazing to us. Like I remember, and this was the early days. I remember like playing. We had a gig in Hitchin. We like the Cribs' first album was either out or it was about to come out. I don't know if we just heard it because everyone just had tapes of other bands. Do you know what I mean? We're in the car, like, what's that? Oh, it's the Cribs. It's their new album or something. I don't know if it was out or if it was just somebody's like made a recording. But I remember playing a gig in Hitchin. I think it was a Hitchin social club maybe or something with another band. And then all crowd of us like we are getting in the car because we'd borrowed all the gear and stuff to play. We're getting in the car just to drive back to London, which was like what, like 45 minutes. And someone said, "Oh, I've got a text. I've been phoned by I can't remember who it was, Gary, maybe. Do you want to come up to Wakefield? Let's go up, let's drive up." So like one of us wasn't drinking, like one and I think it was my girlfriend actually, and she drove us. We just drove up to Wakefield that night after the gig, and we got there, and we'd all like stopped off and got some beers and some. I think somebody had a bottle of Jack Daniels and stuff. At the time we got there, we didn't have a clue what was going to go on. We walked into the Crib studio. You know, it was like where I've since kind of I didn't even know at the time. I've since sort of discovered they would obviously they recorded there, but they would like record and then just do gigs in the evenings. And I remember walking in, and it was absolutely packed, and it was just like this cool place. It was like a sort of I don't know. It seemed like a sort of in my mind, it's like an old warehouse with big windows and stuff. Probably not that grand in retrospect, but walking in like 1 in the morning or something, we walked in and they were just finishing, and they started playing one of our songs. They saw us like, "Hey, the Mardous,"
Really?
started playing. I was just like, it just blew my mind, man. I was like, these guys, I don't know who they are, but right, I'm gonna be friends with them. They are cool.
That's
Uh,
it. So, sorry, let's get logistics of this. So you played a gig in Hitchin in Hertfordshire that
mhm.
night. Got a call from, say, Gary Jarman. You
Yeah,
fancy playing a
I
gig?
didn't take it, but I think it was probably Gary. Yeah.
And they drove to Wakefield that night and played another gig at 1 in the morning.
Well, they wanted us to play. We were pretty hammered by the time we arrived. We were like staggering about, and we did play some songs, but they. I think from recollection, like, well, we walked in, they started playing. what ended up being our single was I didn't even know. I didn't think about it at the time, but after I was going, how would they even know the song? But obviously they just because you're just chucking tapes out to everyone, like, well, I've
Mm.
got some demos, do you hear the demos? So they played, we walked in and they started playing Revolution.
Oh yeah.
Did. And honestly, I walked in going, that sounds, oh man, what's this? Oh, that's my song. That's in my mind. And then they're right, Mardous, come on, Mardous, on the stage, come on the stage. And I was going, oh, whoa, hold on, what are we doing? He said, you're doing a gig. And they sort of hung around and played bits. They were sort of playing bits of our songs and we were playing bits. It was pretty mental. I don't remember huge amounts beyond that, to be honest. But from that point, I was just like, and we'd played their album like in the car all the way up. So when they were like, they got on later and played, I remember them playing songs and just going, my God, these guys are like totally amazing. And they were like a three-piece as well. And we were a three-piece. So I was just going, that's right, I found home. I'm home.
Yeah, yeah.
Love
No,
the
it's
Cribs,
in.
still do, but they're like those that I heard that first album. It's just again, that was for me, that was on a par with the Strokes' first album. That was like, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting. I don't know if you've listened to the episode we did with Gary Jarman, but he said the same thing about you guys. Like he had your tape basically, and
Yeah,
he
I
would
have listened
play
to
it in
it.
the van, I think.
I'm gonna confess that like it wasn't until that recently, mate, that I got into got into podcasts and B to your so I'm playing catch up. I listened to so I'm sort of working my way through.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
and I listened to the Cribs one's great. He's really but I always well, I mean, first of all, that was I was like obviously well chuffed to hear that, man. That was great. But also like Gary's obviously like he's really I always thought well, all of them, but Gary's probably the brother that I knew best, really. But I always thought he was very smart. Like he talks really sort of eloquently about music and stuff, and seems to like be able to like put the right use the right words to describe that time and stuff. And it's just yeah. So that podcast was yeah, it was great to hear. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting. Like you get a real from that story you just told there, you get a real sense of what was going on, kind of thing. Because I didn't realize it was like they were putting on gigs in the studio type thing. And maybe they did say that, but I can kind of picture it a bit better now. With
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And yeah, so that I mean, I don't know how often that happened, but I mean, I think they would just do that every whenever they were in the studio or like at weekends. I don't know, but it was such a great just because it wasn't a venue, it was just their place. So it's like it was just a party really, but it was like they had all like a little. Remember the stage? I remember clear as day, man, just walking in and seeing the stage, and then them starting playing the song. It was a great little venue. Yeah, I wish I'd spent more time. I wish I'd been able to spend more time there. Probably, probably a bit more sober to take it in and like have a look at it properly, you know. And of course, at
yeah,
the time, it's just another night, so you're not thinking about
yeah, it wasn't really the vibe of the time to be sober, though, was it?
it. No, no, it wasn't. No.
And then I imagine a band like 10,000 Things would be involved because I got a reply from Samurai Lee on Instagram
Yeah,
who said, "What's your favorite memory of touring with 10,000 Things?" and to send the love to you.
that's really sweet, man. Yeah, that's really sweet. So sending our love back. Yeah, yeah, they were again that whole. It was always like another yeah, obviously great band. Yeah, yeah, respect to them, man. It was going up north. It's like getting out of London. It was funny because I sort of moved to London and then would just love getting away from it to go and see like bands like Cribs, Paddingtons, especially them. Wasn't them playing anywhere, full stop. But you know, 10,000 Things playing anywhere was amazing. But playing like in their home turf, which the crowds would just be nuts. You know what I mean? The
Yeah, yeah,
crowds. I mean, but like playing, we spent a bit. I remember one of the best, most enjoyable gigs we did. I think it was it was in Bradford, and I was kind of like naive about like I was thinking, oh, Bradford, like it's not going to be, you know, I don't know, be a nice gig, but I don't know much about Bradford. I don't know who knows us. And man alive, it was just it totally kicked off. That crowd was just going nuts, you know. I was just going, oh my God, we're definitely coming back here. This is amazing. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then in terms of like building momentum, was that quite easy to do in London at the time, or how did it work?
I don't know really. Like it was good. Obviously, like I was see on the Mardous page, like, I kept diaries at the time, which has been amazing now. Sort of looking back, honestly, like would say I would have forgotten sort of 80-90% of the stuff that happened. And I'd kind of forgotten, like, we all did work really hard, but like it wasn't work. It was like sending emails to try and get gigs, of like chatting to promoters or going to meet someone for a pint, talk about, you know, like doing a session or something like but it was work, but it was like trying to, I suppose, trying to, well, A, just having fun, but B, just trying to, yeah, build a bit of a following, trying to sort of, yeah, I guess get to know people at gigs and stuff. Everyone was pretty chatty and just normal and lovely. That's the thing. It wasn't like you'd be just, that's the other thing I liked about what now is obviously recognized as a scene. Like you'd just be stood watching the gig, you know, and then like, right, you're on next, and then you jump up and you do your gig, and then you jump down and then somebody else will be on. Do you know what I mean? It was like, that was great. And I loved that about it. Or you'd get up and play, and then someone else would come up and join you and start playing. You know, there was quite a lot of that. There was, like, I remember in London, there was obviously like the others, the Unstrung, um, like Baby Shambles, Peter Doherty and stuff like that. But they all had Gravy Rambles, which was Baby Shambles with other folk. So there was all little kind of offshoots of bands and stuff, and they would sort of, so bands were always kind of evolving and changing with different members anyway, little offshoots, and we're doing a gig, but it's not that, it's this, which was really interesting as well. So yeah, it was. I never. I don't suppose we ever consciously, really, honestly, went right. We've got to build momentum. We're going to be massive. We're going to be huge. Well, we try. We weren't really trying to do that. It was just amazing to be able to play really, and play a lot. Like play. You could play almost every night, really, if you wanted to at that point, because there was a scene. That's it. Everyone was going out to watch bands.
Yeah, yeah. What about in terms of like then affording to live in London? Was that easy to do at the time?
I mean, I moved down. I moved down and started training to be a teacher in London, and then with a bit of like with an eye on music, but like not like I kind of thought I don't know if it'll ever, but I'll be able to go out to gigs and stuff. Like I'll be able to see the bands and enjoy going to music because that was that's what I love doing and still do. But so I had a bit of an income because I was although I was training, I was getting paid for it. But yeah, it wasn't easy. It was easier then than it is now, though, I would say. But like Ben, I remember Ben. Hope he doesn't mind me. He won't mind. He moved down and he was living in down in, oh God, down south of London somewhere. So not in the centre, somewhere sort of a bit cheaper. I was started off living at somewhere. I lived near Deptford. It was a bit cheaper then. Don't know if it is now. And then I moved west. I sort of met someone and moved, and we ended up moving. We moved in together. Um, so that kind of worked out. But yeah, man, London's. And now it's like £7 a pint now, man.
Yeah, I mean, I lived there for a bit and I was talking about rent to someone recently because when I first moved, I think I was paying 600 for a shared house a month,
Yeah. Wait,
which felt that was like a good deal at the time. I think now must be like a grand easy.
where were you living then?
That was Stuart Newington at the time, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's so
Yeah,
Newton these days. Woo.
yeah,
But well, that's where like Thurston Moore lives in Stoke Newton, I think.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think so. I'm looking. I actually saw him walking around in Manchester.
Did
Uh,
you?
yeah, we went to see BC Can play, and
Oh, did you?
then
Yeah, yeah.
I was outside the gig and I was like, just with my mate, and I was like, I'm sure that was Thurston Moore that just walked past. And then
Oh,
apparently he was doing like some kind of Q&A somewhere.
was he? Did
Yeah, I
you not
think
meet
so.
him?
He'd been and gone by the time I even thought. I was like, wait a minute.
I was teaching a kid in, this was a few years ago. I was teaching a kid who was working in East London, and he was into music, so I was teaching him a little bit of guitar. He was teaching me really, he was really good. But he was like, he said, "Oh, I've got a tutor now. We live because he lived in Stoke Newington. He said, I've got a tutor now." I said, "Oh, that's great. So you're getting lessons like every week?" And he went, "Yeah, yeah. He's a bit of a rock star." And I went, "Oh, is he? Yeah." He lives next door, but he says he doesn't mind me popping over and like he'll teach me a bit of guitar. And I was like, "All right, cool." Is he an actual rock star? Like I sort of said it half joking. He went, "Yeah, man, yeah. Do you know a band called oh, what are they called?" And he said something that sounded a bit like it, and I went, "Sounds a bit like Sonic Youth." And he went, "Yeah, that's it, Sonic Youth." he was in Sonic Youth. And I went, what's his name? And he went, oh, it's I don't know what his second name is. It's Thurston. And I was going, are you joking me? Are you for real? I was like, seriously, you're getting guitar lessons from Thurston Moore? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely
I was
nuts.
so jealous.
So have you gone into teaching then after that?
Yeah, I became a teacher. So I was taught in East. Well, I moved. Yeah, I was teaching in London for a bit, and then I moved out to Spain with to get away, just to escape and to teach in like a British, like an international school, I should say, in Spain, and just to have a quiet life. And then ended up in a band there. And so everywhere I go, I try and have a sensible life, but not always easy. I fall into the bad ways of rock music.
No, yeah, it's not
Yeah,
bad, not a bad trait to have.
yes.
But then, I guess, yeah, it's all a story about Carl Barat getting involved, basically, which led to
Yeah,
you meeting Alan the Git, what happened there, kind of thing.
yeah. So that was when I mean, that was, I can't think like how did we meet Carl really? He was just always around because that was, I don't really know how we first met him. He was just always there really. But I mean, they were like Libertines were kind of they were kind of the, I suppose were they like the Pied Pipers of the scene? I don't know. Like they were
Yeah,
the,
it's probably a good term, isn't it?
yeah. I don't know what, I don't know where we were going. I don't think any of us knew, but they were kind of leading the way to wherever it was, and and so I sort of I would get chatting with him, and one night he just said, I can't even remember who, but one night he said, oh, he was setting up this club in Mayfair, which was, you know, which was quite unusual because I never thought of playing gigs in Mayfair. It's quite posh, isn't it? He said, I've got this club in Mayfair, but you guys should come down and play the club. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And he said, why don't you just be the residents? And I was kind of going, yeah, that sounds all right. A club in Mayfair, like be the resident band. So I think it was like it was a random night of the week. I can't remember what night. It was either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. I don't think it was Monday because we did Mondays at the Pleasure Unit in Bethnal Green. We're like a resident band in several, one in Bethnal Green and one in Mayfair. I don't know how many bands can say that. Anyway, we played at Carl's club every week for a bit with other bands. So it'd be like an indie like night with bands, and we'd always go on at some point. Sometimes first, depending on who the other bands were. Sometimes main headlines, and then if somebody's van broke down, we just keep playing or whatever. Um, and then one night, I can't remember which came first, but like do you remember when the Libertines, like when Peter got out of prison, and then they played him and Peter and Carl played like a little acoustic night at Filthy McNasty's.
Right, yeah.
We went to that. There was a whole like thing on libertines.org, whatever. Like, oh, they're going to be playing Filthy McNasty. So everyone just like straight down there. Everybody was there. And I remember there was a little bit of a kind of a like a rope. It wasn't a barrier in it. There was a little bit of a rope for the VIPs. And Alan McGee walked in. And I remember Ben just going, right, I'll see you later. I'm off. And he just went straight to him. And then he came back. I said, what did you say? And he went, Alan, I'm in the Mardous. When are you going to sign us? And Alan went, oh, mate, I'm here to have a quiet night or something. I don't remember the words. And Ben said, what are you drinking? And Alan said, I think he said, I don't drink. And Ben went, all right, well, what would you like from the bar? And he went, glass of white wine. That's just random, isn't it? So Ben was like, right, okay, I'll be back. So he got him. So they got chatting. And then, so we got to know him a bit, I think. That was how it happened. But then one night, we were playing at Carl's gaff and he just said, like, I remember playing and he went, keep playing. I was going, what? And he literally come on the stage. He was like going, just keep playing, play another one. I was going, we've played all the songs we've got. We've got like, I think at that point we had like 12 songs. I mean, we played the songs and we're doing the crap sort of B-sidey, almost unfinished, not quite finished ones. Just play the main ones again. Play the main ones. Play your best songs. And I went, why? Is somebody not showing up? And he went, no, just exactly, keep playing. So we just kept playing these songs. And then I didn't even see him. We finished. I was sort of going to him, can we come off now? Like, I think everyone's looking like, the hell are these guys doing? And we went off, and McGee was at the bar. And yeah, that was it. He just went, he was like, Carl said to come down, and yeah, you guys, yeah, I'm going to offer you a singles deal for now, and we'll see how it goes. Just as casual as you like. You play it cool. And I was just like, Oh yeah, right, nice one, yeah. Inside I was going, what? But that was amazing, man. I didn't even really see him watching us, but it was hard. He was at the bar, he was at the back, so he must have been. Well, he obviously was. But so that was when it. I suppose that was when it kind of started sort of kicking off, really. And as soon as you've got a bit of, I mean, it wasn't a 10 album deal with EMI, but like it was like that was amazing. Like Alan McGee, you know what I mean? Like I was kind of going, all right, something's going on here. Um, yeah, that was mad. And so we got to know Alan as well and the Poptones crew and stuff, and we'd go and hang out at their offices, which were the Creation offices in Primrose Hill. So that was also like it was just sort of you'd be in there playing it cool, but also going, huh? Who's that over there? So it was good fun. It was good times.
That's it. So like Carl kind of set that whole thing up then, really.
Yeah, totally did. Yeah, totally did. And
That's it.
yeah, amazing. Um, he's a, he's like very cool about the whole thing as well, man. Like I've got a flat in Margate. We talked about London property prices. I've never afforded quite to buy a nice place in London,
Hmm.
but I've got a flat in Margate, which I spend a lot of time. I go down there to. I go down there to do painting actually, because I do quite a lot of art stuff. But so I moved down there in 2015, and then the Libertines bought the hotel. Like I was just going, what's going on here? Excuse me, this is my town. Um, so I've sort of caught up with him now and again, here and there. He's got a club and stuff again. Maybe I should ask him to play his new club. That'd be a cool idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
But he's cool about the whole thing, man. He doesn't like. He's just like, all right, did I? Yeah, like, all right, whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Do you want
fair
another
play.
beer?
So yeah, from that point on, then did it come become a bit more serious type thing? What was the vibe?
Yeah, yeah, a bit. Yeah, a bit. Yeah, no, definitely did actually. Yeah, like we, yeah, when we got, yeah, from that point on, there was a plan. So it was like, yeah, I mean, it was good, but it was good in a different way, I suppose. Like it was definitely I mean, there's times we'd be sort of, yeah, there'd be times we'd be sort of sent to. I remember going to Parsons Green, which is I'd never, even though I lived quite near it, I'd never sort of been to Parsons Green. There's never sort of much of a sort of massive reason to go there. And we went to up in this building upstairs, and it was a lawyer's office, and like Poptons had sent us to this lawyer's office, and going in and like they opened a bottle of champagne and stuff, and we're all sat there. They're going, "Oh, so we put your songs on," and I was like, "I'm not fast. Like I know what they sound like." You know what I mean? I was like, "Yeah, if you want." And they're just chatting to us about bands that they were like representing and stuff. And I was kind of going, "Where's this going? Is someone about to appear and give us a contract to sign or something?" I was going, "What is going on here?" And it was all these guys in their sort of 50s, like, so yeah, I've heard your songs, and I've got my son loves the Mardous and all this stuff. And then we'd just be like, "Do you want another glass of champagne? Right, guys, we've got a meeting now, we've got to go." And you'd be sort of going, then you'd come out and you'd go, "What was that all about?" But I suppose it's for if there's quite a lot of that stuff going on. If you get to the next step, there's people waiting to go straight in and, right, we're your lawyer now and stuff like that. So there's a bit of that weird stuff going on. But the Poptones guys were great. Like Alan was cool. Stephen King, who ran Poptones with Alan, was great. They're all nice guys. Like, but there was definitely I think like Ben at the time, like Ben wasn't really working. I was still working a bit. I gave that up in I think 2005 because I'd got a record deal. But he would go and sit in the Poptones offices just to work for them a bit, but also for the Mardous. And like I'd speak to him in the evenings and be like, I sort of like, "What'd you get up to today?" It was in some of his stories, man. And like, "Oh, it was pretty cool." I've, I was just answering the phone whenever it rang, and I picked it up, and it was Holly Johnson. So I just had a chat with him for ages. He's really cool. I was like, Jesus, this is amazing. I want a job there. But he'd sort of go there to try and get things moving more with us because they had quite a lot of bands and they popped on us.
Yeah, yeah, I was looking at the Wikipedia earlier and like the Hives,
The
uh,
Hive, yeah, yeah.
Box Rebellion, all kinds of different names. Yeah.
Steve Mason, from the Beta Band, he was someone I bumped into there a couple of times. He was really nice. He was doing, I think he was maybe just starting out on his solo stuff. Steve Mason, he was on Pop Tones. They also did management as well, so you'd sort of see different people in there, and also like in that area, man. It's like I don't know if you. you've been up that, like, like up Primrose Hill way. It's just like multi-million-pound mansions and stuff. I remember being in there with Alan one time, and he was just like, "All right, so next door is Robert Plant, and then across there's," and I was just going, "It's just a different world, you know." You sort of massive imposter syndrome at that point, going, "What is going on here? Is this a wind up? What's happening?" But it was good.
Yeah, yeah.
He was cool. He was very down to earth.
I ended up at a party there about 10 years ago, and it was like, I think it was the niece of Charlene Spliteri or something.
Really,
Yeah, yeah. It's in her house. It's someone's birthday, but it was quite
it's a
funny.
nice house.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty nice, yeah.
It's amazing. I like just walking around there, just like looking in the houses. It's like it's a different world.
Oh,
But,
yeah, definitely.
but I think like the Poptones, the creation offices, that's now like I don't know what happens in, well, obviously Poptones isn't a thing so much, and the creation's not there anymore. So even just having that, like it's a business, isn't it? Like that place alone, like what would it have been, like three or four stories townhouse in Primrose Hill was their offices. Phew, must be worth like double figure millions now, probably. Right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, how much would NME play in all this? Like, what was their role? Did you feel like you were getting attention from them as well at the time?
Bet, yeah, I bet. Like not that would be through pop, like a lot of that sort of stuff was kind of record company stuff. So you'd be like, they would say like, we've got such and such with NME. You've got a mostly just like adverts for gigs and stuff, or adverts for like music when it was coming out the single. Um, we didn't have massive. We did like we'd do there'd be little gig reviews, and they're all pretty okay actually. I would always be a bit terrified to look, especially NME, because it's like I would read the NME to get the lowdown on bands, and
Hmm.
if I would pretty much buy into a lot of what I mean, it's NME, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they were right with us. They seemed to. We got a decent single review, which it sounded like it was going to be really bad. It was like something like another London indie landfill Eggy Mullet band. I just started reading that, going, "Oh my God!" And then it just full stop. Turns out not, or something. And I said, "Oh, gee." It's like I nearly had a heart attack. And it was all right. It was all right. It was good. It was quite good. I was, yeah, but yeah, not massive. I don't have huge amounts to do with them. There was more. It would be sort of photographed, I think, with more like band. It was quite. Do you know what happened quite a lot? Like a lot of you probably have some tales about this you can share, but like band get together sort of photo shoot things.
Okay,
Like at
yeah.
the George in London, there was I think it was an ID magazine band shoot. It was really just a piss up in a pub where there was a room upstairs that you'd be shouted to go and get your photo taken and then back down. So you get like everyone just milling about doing all sorts. And the pub would, you'd sort of try and get out and the door would be locked because it's kind of a lock in. You'd be going, oh, what's going on? Really dark. Then you'd go into this room with big lights and be like, right, just stand together, just hold the bottle up a bit, take your photo. And that was for ID magazine. You just going, this is just actually the photograph was on the roof, I remember, which I was even in my quite hazy state, I was up there going, I don't know if this is a great idea, taking a photo on the roof. This is, but it was all right, it was good. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
stuff like that more than anything.
And then a few of these photos, like I say, you've been posting. Have they always been around? Or I don't think I've seen any of them before, but
I don't know, man. Like I've done a bit of I feel like I don't know who some of the photographers are because um and certainly when I do, obviously I credit them, but there's a lot from that scene, but in quite random places. Like if you Google a lot of the stuff, it's not there. It was like I suppose it was the time this is where history's not on our side. Like it was the time, wasn't it? Just before like the smartphone, wasn't it?
Mhm.
So like not many people you could take photos on your phone and they would be like,
Yeah, horrendous.
do you know what I mean? You'd be going, who is it?
Yeah,
Is that is that us? Oh, nice shot.
yeah.
Um, so I think there was some quiz show or something on the other day. I can't remember what it was, and it said something about when was the when was the iPhone first on the market, and I think it was 2007. And
Oh, really?
I was going, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That's why there's hardly any pictures. So like I've like quite a few of my mates have just been sending me pictures that they've found. I don't know how they get them either from the Mardous or whatever time.
Yeah.
And I kept some, like I took loads of photos. Took some really random. I was looking at just digging out the box set just now, just before you came on, like random. There's one from. That's the other's best player at Glastonbury. So I've got loads of weird photos of. Sometimes I didn't write who it was. I know who that was, but I'd be like, who is that? And where was that? Stuff like that. That I've sort of. I think I must have. Well, that must have been. You can sort of see it when you look close. It's not a photograph. It's got weird lines. That was probably on my Nokia 3310 or something that I've sent to myself and then printed somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, like I say, so you've documented so much stuff, especially like the diary and that. That's great.
Yeah, the diaries. I've got the diary here, I think. So I've got this from, and I've got a few others as well. I've just started going through it again. Honestly, like, I haven't looked at it for a long time. I've got one of Spain as well. So like when I was in Spain, so I've got like loads of. Spain was easier because it's like everyone had smartphones by that time, so there's loads of photos and stuff. Like I've got yeah. So there's one from Spain. I don't see that.
Okay, cool.
That's actually London, I think. And that's the same gig, I think, in London. That was when we came over to play in Camden with
All right.
Peter Doherty. That's backstage. I've got loads of that time. But up until then, I've either got crap printouts or actual photos, which is quite weird, isn't it? Like just photo these days.
It's nice, isn't it?
Used to feel really old. Oh, you see my photographs?
Something better about them, then. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty amazing quality. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
And loads of
And then,
flyers and stuff.
oh, cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to, I mean, just seeing you fly, playing with Arctic Monkeys, like, looking
Yeah.
forward to more stuff like that coming out.
Yeah, man, it should be. I've got a lot of that in my. I've got this actually. I just found before when I was got that. I was trying to figure out who it was, and then I looked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's. I don't know whose it was, but it's got on the back. It's got like a amp. I don't know if you'll see it. So it's got like amp settings.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm guessing it's. But
So
yeah.
for audio listeners, that's Arctic Monkeys set list from
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah,
2005.
yeah. It probably would have been Nottingham. I think that one that I posted tonight. I think it might have been that gig.
It's handwritten, so maybe one of the band wrote it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
That's
That's
amazing.
honestly that was tucked down the back. I've got like in the back of my diary, there's like a little kind of pocket bit. I nearly threw it away, just pulled it out, and I was like, nah, what's that? And then it's like fake tails. It says fake tails, like fake tails, fake tails, fake tails. Oh, fake tails. So yeah, cool. Keep that for a bit.
So did you know, like, it was obviously a bit of a buzzer bomb at that point. Is that why you saved it? Because you knew there was going to be a
Yeah,
bit
I
of a
saved everything though, man. Like I've
big
saved
band?
like you should see some of the crap I've got. It's honestly. Yeah, I've got some really crap flyers. Yeah, but yeah, they were. I mean, you remember, right? They were like,
Yeah, I
they
went to see him around that time because on
did
his
you?
flyer it says 4 quid. I remember seeing him in Hull for about 6 quid.
Did you? Yeah.
At Silhouettes, yeah, in Hull.
Oh, what was that like?
Yeah, class. I mean, I remember like there's all the hype about them, obviously, from just like the MySpace recordings and stuff. It's one of those tours. It's like I think Oasis did the same, where they booked a small venue tour, and then in the meantime got big before they played them.
Yeah,
It felt
yeah,
like that
that's
anyway.
right. Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
remember we kind of, I think on one sort of, like I say tour, like for us, like sounds really grand, but probably in the back of a van on an old mattress. Do you know what I mean? But on one jaunt round like up north and then back down. Later on, I think we went up to play a couple of gigs, and they were properly like just taking off like everywhere you look, man. It was like, and we played a gig in a I can't remember where it was. It might have been Wigan or something. Yeah, I think it was Wigan. We played quite a big venue, and that's when I knew like something was going on because like big, big, big. They played the night before, and we went in to play like to do the sound check and stuff to set up, and everyone's just like in shock. Like all the staff that were there, were just like, I was like, was it good last night? Yeah, man, it was just like it's a bit mad. I think they said it was just not people just people just couldn't get in. They just
mm.
and that's what you said, isn't it? So they'd sold the tickets, sold out because they were good, and then got massive, and people just like, "Oh, I've got to see this gig because we're not going to see them in this venue again."
Yeah, yeah.
That
How
was,
many gigs did you play with them?
I think just one maybe. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know though. I'm not very good at stuff like this. It was before I started writing my diary. It was when I was just collecting flyers and stuff. I wish that was. I remember bits and bobs about it. It was once or twice. I can't remember if we played with them up north. There was a gig that we played with. I think there was a couple of gigs that we played with. Oh, Reverend and the Makers.
Yeah.
They were, and I can't remember if the Arctic Monkeys played that gig or not. Some of them were there. I don't know if they played it.
Okay. And were you into them? Because like talking to people like Tom and Lloyd from the Paddingtons, they weren't really having Arctic Monkeys at the time.
I wasn't really. In all honesty, I wasn't really like. I could see why people like them. I loved I think at that time, I haven't really listened to them that much recently, but like at that time, I think it was definitely there was a songwriting thing going on, wasn't there? Like there was the lyrics were very much the thing. Um, I wasn't like, I don't know, man. I just didn't really, I didn't dislike them. I just didn't really feel what everyone else was feeling. I thought they were a great band, like live. They were great. They were really good. But music, that just the tunes, you either feel it or you don't. And for me, it's just kind of, I was much more into the Strokes and the Cribs.
Yeah, it felt like those first wave of bands weren't really that bothered about Arctic Monkeys, kind of thing.
I think
Maybe
that's
it's
it.
like a
I don't
separate
know.
scene almost.
It felt a bit separate. It felt, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to sound a bit pretentious. It did feel a bit secondary. I don't know. And do you know what? They'll probably tell you. Well, no, they're not going to speak to me, that's for sure. But they're probably kicking around before we were. But yeah, I don't know. Just there was a few people that I would speak to about them as well who were, this is terrible. I'm not going to slag anyone off. They would sort of say like the marketing thing was a little bit more than it was saying it was. Like they came out with this, oh, they've made friends on MySpace and they've got massive because of MySpace. But I don't know. Maybe there was a point where that was a good story to build on. Yeah, it's definitely true. I don't know. I don't want to say too much, man, because everyone's going to hate me. He hates them. I don't hate them at all.
No,
They're
yeah,
a
fair
great
play.
band, man. They deserve it. They've like, and do you know what? Like a band to come from that scene to make it as big. They're massive now, aren't they? They're massive.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing, man. That's amazing. Well done to them. They were a bit younger than me. I was really jealous. It's like a bit younger, better guitars. Yeah, I don't like them.
I think Tom admitted that. Tom from Paddingtons, he was like, yeah, there's a bit of resentment going on. I think
Yeah,
early.
I think that's why I've got. I think it was a bit of jealousy, like, oh man, that was meant to be us and it's them. They were
Whereas
good. Big
whereas
fan.
Lloyd just says he sounds like George Formby, so he's not interested.
Oh mate, well, yeah, I'm not going to argue. Wouldn't dare.
Anyway, getting back to your music, like in terms of the singles,
Yeah,
we would you re-record them once you got onto Poptones? Like, what was the score?
yeah, we did. We re-recorded yeah, Revolution, um and we were mostly, yeah, they paid for a bit of recording time. So they, I guess that's how it works, right? So they would own the as well. No, sorry, that's really cynical, isn't it? They helped us out a lot. I mean, it was a record company, but part of being a record company, you make records. So there you go. So yeah, we recorded with, that was quite exciting. There was a lot of names of producers mentioned that we ended up recording with a great producer, um,
Who was it?
Paul Tipler.
Okay.
And Paul Tipler, he's a good mate now. He's a good lad. But he obviously he's done like a lot of stuff that he's done a lot of stuff I'm really into. He recorded Idlewild's first album, and that for me that was a mad link because the sort of scene that Ben and I had been in Edinburgh, Idlewild had been like this sort of libertines of that scene. So I was kind of like, it didn't compute in my head. I was like, you recorded Idlewild, the first album. The first album's like amazing for me. And he was like, yeah, yeah. So that was immediately I was a bit like, hmm, okay, well, that's meant to happen. So Paul was cool. There was talk of some big names, which, thrown in the hat. I think it was like, think Paul Epworth. Before this is before he became as I mean he's got yeah, but producers wise it's weird, isn't it? Because it was just a single, so it's not an album. But I suppose you might be meeting them for a single. You don't know what the future holds. You might be meeting
Mm.
a single to see if you get on for someone else. I don't know, but it was fine, man. It was all right. No, it wasn't all right. It was good, and so we recorded that single. I think we did another. I can't remember. And then yeah, that first single came out on Poptones. But even I'm gonna say like no, probably when it came out things were fine, but probably a couple of months, maximum 6 months after that, the music business is changing like quickly. Everyone was a bit like looking over their shoulder, going, "What's going on?" Like the money was there was chat of like, it's not like the bands that had come through Poptones had all sort of gone on and signed album deals. The Paddingtons were about to do that. They were like on the step above us, I think. They were like, so we sort of look, they were looking at the band above them going, oh, that'll be us next. And we were going, oh, Paddington's then us. So everyone's kind of like that. And then there was a bit of a like, and then we were looking above going, why is it slowing down? And then, no one's, and then suddenly it was just like, I think Universal just pulled the funding for Poptones, maybe.
Mm.
All politics in it. And when you're in a band, like that's so boring, isn't it? But it's also, it's also the money.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty
What's he
important.
saying? Timeline wise, the Paddingtons got in there before you type thing.
Yeah, they were
Right.
signed to Poptones before us, yeah. And yeah, but I was honestly like almost more gutted for them than I was like because I mean we followed them around the country, went on before them for nights and nights in a row, watching them from the side of the stage. Honestly, think one of the most underrated bands in the history of music. Like amazing, like punk band who would just blow the crowds away every single night. It was like watching, honestly, like watching, I think, like watching I don't know, like the Sex Pistols meets the Stooges or something. Do you know what I mean? It was like properly, like really, you'd watch, like you'd play your gig and go, that was amazing. And then you'd watch them and go, oh, what? Yeah, it was great.
Not yet, they were brilliant. Loved
Yeah.
them back. Good to see them. But yeah, that makes sense then, because like you say, I remember the album coming out with the Paddingtons, and there was like this big hiatus where you're kind of waiting for the second album. But as you
Yeah.
mentioned, like the funding got pulled.
Yeah.
So were you caught up in that in terms of you not getting an album out, or how did it work?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We'd recorded quite a lot of our album ourselves, like in different studios. We'd sort of we recorded a bit in Brighton, we recorded a bit, two different sessions in London. Yeah. So we had like well, we've got the songs we got now essentially. We've added to it a little bit, but I think we had like a sort of pool of about 15 decent songs, something like that. I think Poptones were just waiting for the time to be right to say, right, we'll get the artwork done, we'll get your songs together, we'll get it out. Um, so yeah, it was obviously gutting when that didn't happen. And then you're sort of looking at going, well, what do we do now? Do we do this with someone else? So you're then back to sort of playing gigs for like Fierce Panda or Fierce Panda will phone, they're going to come down to this gig and watch, like stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, I'm watching The Traitors just now on BBC. It's a bit like that. And you're like, everyone's looking at everyone else going, you, is it us? Um, so that was frustrating. Yeah, that was really frustrating because we felt like we had some decent songs actually that were ready to go. Definitely that was, um, and also like I think we felt I suppose we'd sort of watched the Cribs, for example, right? So they had their first album, which was amazing, and then they got a sort of bigger deal, I suppose, and got their second album out, and that started playing on the radio and on MTV and stuff, and you see the videos, and I was just going, yes, they're making it, they've done it, they've done it, they've done it. And you're thinking, right, we played with them, we know them, they like us. That's this is now like it's a thing. We can do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We've got our album. And then that's when it changed. And it's almost more gut. And it's like someone's let you have a little taste and then going, no, we're not serving that tonight. It's like, yeah, it was gutting, man. Um, but great. I felt like some bands just got through before the doors shut, which was cool. No, as though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how come you recorded in different places then? Was that like why did you not just do a full length session with someone?
Yeah, I think it's just money. I just don't think they
Yeah.
could afford it. Like Poptones didn't have massive amounts of money to spend on. They did a lot of bands, so they wouldn't. I mean, they would pay for single recordings, um, but yeah, they wouldn't. Didn't have. I mean, it wasn't an album deal. I guess that's what I'm saying. So if it had been an album deal, they would have covered it. But
Oh, okay.
probably because we'd got some recording done ourselves. I mean, they probably recognised that, you know, we could manage that, I suppose. I mean, we didn't have that much money, but we were putting any money we were making towards the music at that point, like literally like buying new strings and stuff. We were skin, man. I got pop tones. You go on tour, you get your PDs, like you get your £5 a day.
Mm.
But that was cool of them. They would help with all that because that was you out plugging the single, for example. So you get that, but you were like literally living in the back of a van, living in F1 hotels. Do you remember them? They
I
still
don't know if I do.
Yeah, I don't know if they still exist, F1 hotels. Like that's again, that's from my diaries. How interesting my diaries are talking about F1 hotels. I've got a page that says, I'm not going to bother looking for it. It says something like pulled up in, I can't remember where it is, Bolton or somewhere. Hotel was shut, so we kicked a tennis ball around the car park for an hour and a half until the hotel opened. And then I say something, I walk in and I'm like, there's a woman behind the desk. I'm like, oh, and she goes, what do you want? She goes, what do you want? And I go, I was just wondering if you got a hotel room. She goes, yeah, we're a hotel. And I'm like, all right, great. Just looking for a cheap room because we're in a band. She goes, yeah, they're cheap. I was just like thinking back, that's mad. But F1 hotels are like, it was like 20 quid a night for like three of us or something. It's just like insane. It was just like it was like the level below like budget hotels now. It's kind of like it was just all made of plastic, the walls. It's like you'd walk in, and it's just being molded into a room, just like a
All
plastic
right.
without a window, like bunk beds. That was perfect, man. It was so cheap and quite clean because they just wiped the plastic down. That was
Sounds like
like, we
one of
should have been
those.
sponsored by F1 hotels.
Sounds like one of those 3D printed houses that you see now
Yeah.
or something.
Honestly, that's what it would be. Yeah, that's it. They must have made them in some sort of futuristic. Yeah, we would have just been like loads, probably a big square. They just cut the middle out of, and I don't know. So yeah, we just go and live in, but sometimes sleep in the van. Not so much because F1 hotels were the best. Yeah.
Yeah, fair play. And
Well,
like, did
kept on someone's floor. That was the thing. Lots of mates. That was the scene, wasn't it? That's how the scene worked. People just be like, "Yeah, man, just kept on the floor." Oh, legend.
like, did you feel left hanging by the pop turn situation? And like, how did it work? Or were they quite open with you about what was going on?
Um, I don't remember really. Like, I think it was, yeah, I think it was tricky. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna say anything bad about them because they really they signed us, man. It was pretty amazing. And they had our backs for a long time. I think I think it was just honestly just economics. It was just money. So like Alan, like McGee was great. I mean, for all those bands that he signed and gave a single deal to or an album deal, we got them sorted out. That was pretty amazing, really. And at the time, there was a few people doing that, but not so many still.
But how
I think
hands on was he? What once you'd been signed, like how hands on was Alan McGee? What was his role type thing at that point?
yeah, he was like we'd play in Paris quite a lot. We had quite a big following in Paris.
All right.
Yeah, we'd play there quite a lot. So we'd just get the train through from St Pancras, get the Eurostar, and maybe three or four times he just came with us. So he'd come through, he'd DJ, and what we'd play, there'd be like a local sport band on, then we'd go on and we'd headline, and then he would DJ, and then the next morning we'd just get the train back. So that happened quite a lot. So he was great. Um, so yeah, he was really hands on. Not so much with he had a whole team doing the design stuff and all that. Oh, not a whole team. That sounds like really. There was some guys that worked in the office that would help out with stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
We had like our that sort of record company manager sort of dude who like if you phoned up, you wouldn't phone up and speak to Alan, you phone up and speak to your man. But you could speak to Alan if you wanted. Like we'd have his phone number. Um, yeah, he was cool. He was just really quite laid back. He'd sort of, I mean, like he'd done his thing by then, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He signed Primal Scream and Oasis and all these amazing bands. But he was
Hmm.
great. We'd sit on the train. He'd sit and eat his M&Ms. We'd sit and have a beer. All good.
Did the Scottish connection help a bit as well? Did you feel like
No, weirdly, I think he got on better with Ben with the Scottish connection. I thought it was a bit. That was the only thing with Alan. Like, I think he's a great guy. But we're from pretty much the same town, but we never really talked about it.
All right.
Don't really know why. And like, I'm from East Kilbride originally. That's prime Scottish indie. Right there, that's got to be the capital of Scottish indie. I mean, like, Roddy Frame from Aztec Camera,
Hmm.
Postcard Records. He used to live across the road from my auntie in East Kilbride.
All
Like
right.
that. Bobby Gillespie would have lived in the high-rise flats across the way when it was brought up in the council estate. Um, but never really spoke to Alan about that. Maybe there was a reason, I don't know. Mostly just talking about music. I suppose that's it. When you're not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you seem all right.
Not a fair play. And then you mentioned like the following. Did you were you able to build a bit of a following then,
Yeah,
type
mum,
thing?
yeah, yeah, it was good. It was, yeah, we were really lucky. Yeah, we were like, we had a big following in, like, we had a good sized following in Paris. So we'd go in there and play. I was reading the other night, I think it was a place that we play. We played about 5 or 6 times, and we started off sort of supporting one of the bands there. And then we had a couple of managers in Paris for a bit who came and lived in London. They came over and lived in London, and then they went back and forth to Paris. So they got us like some. They helped sort of the gigs over there, I suppose. Um, and excuse me, and that was yeah, that was cool. We played like bigger venues there. I read the other night we played a venue that was a 600 sellout. That was a big deal. It says something like 600 sellout. It was called La Flèche d'Or in Paris. And when we went on stage, 100 of the punters were fighting. I was just like, yeah, I think we did
That's
quite.
it, though. Going to
Yeah,
Paris and selling out a gig.
yeah. Honestly, I remember that, and that was kind of weird because, like in London, you'd be playing gigs and you'd know everyone. Like most folk in the crowd, you'd be like, all right, yeah, and they'd be chucking stuff at you, trying to put you off or whatever. You know what I mean? Or making you try and wear their hat or something. In Paris, you'd sort of look out and you just go, no, don't know anyone. Don't know any of them. Are we going on? Okay, let's do it. And it just go nuts. It was amazing. That was cool. Um,
Is it a French name, the Mardous? Or
it's
the Mardu?
from it's from Jack Kerouac's On the Road. It's just the name of a character.
Oh,
Um,
okay, right.
but it sounds French, doesn't it? We
Yeah,
went
I
with
was
the
thinking, is that the
French kind
link?
of,
But
yeah, we went with the whole kind of French font and all that.
okay, right.
Try and look a bit stylish.
So how does it happen that you get a following in Paris then
Oh, I
at
don't
that time?
know. I think partly because I don't know, like partly because I think like the Libertines were noticeably big in Paris.
Yeah, Pete Doherty's always been quite big over there, hasn't
Yeah. So we and we were I suppose I don't know. Were we associated? How would they even know though? I don't know. But we were, I suppose. Maybe we were, was he there? I don't remember. Maybe he was when we went over once or twice. I get a bit confused with different times. Um, I don't really know, but I guess it was a big music scene. A lot of the it was. I tell you what, I did notice. Like a lot of the sort of bands that we play with in Paris, the Parisian bands or the French bands, were a bit younger, and it's almost like they had kind of seen what was happening in England or the UK and kind of a bit maybe a bit like what we did with the Strokes or whatever. Kind of going, oh, that's cool. Gonna do a bit of that. Maybe it was that kind of. It was moving around a bit. Maybe I
he?
don't know.
Hmm.
So
Not fair
maybe
play.
someone from that scene. I don't know. I didn't really question it. I just
Yeah, yeah,
enjoyed it.
yeah. Did he play a lot with Baby Shambles then type thing?
Yeah, yeah, quite a lot.
What was that like? Kind of when I speak to like Lloyd and Tom about, it, I was like, kind of describe it as being like in the eye of the storm at that point. Is that what it felt like?
Yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, we played. The other residency was at the Pleasure Unit in Bethnal Green, and our manager Matt, big shout out to Matt, lived upstairs in the Pleasure Unit, and Peter lived sometimes upstairs, and sometimes Peter lived. Where did he not live? But he lived. Him and Matt would sort of hang out and stuff. So we'd go there. We'd go around there on a Monday night to play. Usually Peter would go on after us or before us sometimes and just do like some songs, sometimes with Baby Shambles, sometimes on his own. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes like I don't know. I'm guessing probably with Carl or something would turn up. It wasn't that organized other than everyone knew there'd be someone playing. We'd be playing. That was a bit of a pool, I guess. There'd always be like the others playing, or the Unstrung. Paddingtons might be in town, they'll turn up. Or there might just be a few, like, I don't know, imagine, I don't know if this happened, but imagine like if Lloyd was in town, it'd be Lloyd, and if Peter was there, they'd get up and do a song or something. Do you know what I mean? It was cool like that. It was great. Not an open mic, but kind of a bit similar, maybe.
Yeah, that seemed to be Pete Doherty's vibe at the time.
Yeah.
He didn't really like what was going on with Libertines in terms of it being quite structured. I think he liked it the other way, didn't
Yeah. I'm not going to tell too many tales about that, but I certainly speaking to McGee about that. Yeah.
he? Yeah, it sounded hard
Quite
work.
unstructured. I want to say, don't want to get into any trouble. That was the charm, wasn't it? Was he not a troubadour?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Pied Piper, as you said
Pied,
before.
Pied Piper of Whitechapel.
So yeah, what happens then, mate? Like, what do how blunt were pop turns, or like in terms of what was happening? At what point did you know you're gonna have to fend for yourself, type thing, or go elsewhere?
Um, I don't remember. It would have been it was about two. Well, like our sort of big single came out, I think August 2005. I'd say by the end of that year, we were a bit like, huh? What's going on? And certainly at the end of 2006, I'd have to check my diary. I have to check my diaries. By 2006, yeah, we were pretty much looking around going, and we had a bit of interest. Like there was some labels that you know, like when you're into music, you know, the cool, sort of quite cool labels you're quite into. So we'd meet with a couple of labels and they would like come and watch us and stuff. But by that point, yeah, I think it was like, you'd sort of, as I say, you'd sort of watch what was going on with the other bands as well. You'd be a bit like, we're all kind of stood in there, sort of a bit looking at each other, kind of going, mm, like it's over. What are you doing? We're putting the band out. We're putting the album out ourselves, or oh, we've got a little label that are going to do it for us, or Fierce Panda have been chatting to us, or something like that. And you're all, and by that point, it's a bit like it was a bit of a shame, really, because there was that kinship, wasn't there? But as soon as I suppose, like business is involved, becomes a bit kind of can almost be a bit of a slog to see who's going to get signed to someone else, I suppose, which is not much fun, isn't it, when you've been part of a scene. That band, like the others, went and did it themselves, didn't they? They sort of fund their own albums and put them out, and they had a huge following. So that was probably quite a smart move for them. I don't know if our following was big enough to do that. We didn't have that much money at that point. We'd probably
Yeah,
spent quite a lot of it.
when I was talking to Dominic Masters recently, he said that yeah, he kind of saw it coming and he took themselves off the label. So,
Yeah,
so in order so they could kind of like capitalize on like another opportunity with someone. But I
yeah.
guess that's quite a pragmatic approach. I don't know.
I think he's very smart. So I don't. He would sort of like. I mean, I remember having some conversations with him. When it, great frontman and stuff. Is obviously respect as a musician and singer and all that. But as a businessman as well, like he quite savvy. I think. I mean, quite smart. I think he's quite a smart guy. Whereas I think you've got to have the patience for that as well. Like I worked, I'm going to say I worked quite hard on that side of it, but like I'm not that interested in it. That's the problem. It's really tiresome. You end up kind of doing stuff and thinking, right, I've not written a song for like 3 weeks because I've been doing all this other stuff. And like, that's not why I came to do this. I wanted to, which is a bit prima donna-ish, isn't it? But
Now I was thinking that today, like with all the social media and stuff now, he must like, yeah, he must have points where it's like, well, I'm not getting any time to actually do what we're supposed to be doing.
yeah, it's, it's in some ways why I quite enjoyed sort of looking back. I suppose I used the 20-year thing as a bit of an excuse, but there's no pressure now. There's no like it's looking back with really fond memories and chatting about it and stuff like this. Like
Mm,
celebrating like all the bands that were great and all that stuff. And there's no kind of pressure. So I'm posting stuff on socials, but like because I'm having fun with it. But
yeah.
if I was in a band now going for it with a record deal, yeah, I don't know. How much time do you spend just taking pictures of yourself and do you know what I mean? Oh, I don't know. It seems quite tedious. I don't know. I'd rather
Because I
be
was watching,
oh,
yeah, the Steve Baez from Hot Heat, bit of a segue, but he said he's like recorded he's got a solo album ready to go, but he's like debating whether to sign with a label because he said you end up doing most of the work yourself anyway, in terms of promotion these days.
I don't think anyone's got any money. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I've got this debate that I also have in my head quite a lot about like what's happened to the music business. It's really, I'm really conflicted because like you can listen to anything now. You can listen to anything at any time on your phone. You can be at the bus stop and put a song on that you love. That's amazing. But also like, I don't know, like is that better than having 12 vinyl albums that you love and knowing that the bands you love are gonna be playing amazing gigs and be supported by, and they're gonna be in, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is the music business better when it's got money to support these amazing bands coming through, or is it better now? To be a musician these days, I think you've got to be definitely prepared to be pretty poor for a long time,
Mm.
maybe forever, maybe, unless you're
Ye-
Alex Turner.
They must rule a lot of people out that could maybe have made something back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I think
yeah.
so.
But yeah, how did it pan out for you guys? And from that point, say from the end of 2006?
I think we probably by the end of 2006 we called it a day. It was
Oh, really?
there's a lot of stuff going on, isn't there? So like there's the sort of constant having to sort of just chip away and do gigs and organize stuff and spend more money, and you're looking at your bank account going, hold on, we're gonna have to pay for that, and then we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna be out of pocket for that. How does that work? Or got to do more recording, but who's paying for that? Well, there's all that stuff. I started working at a studio in um Old Street in London, just as a sort of second engineer. So I did that for a bit. Worked at Water Rats in London. I was the stage manager, which was cool. Sounds really grand, stage manager, but it's just like making cups of tea for the band or getting them whatever they want to drink or whatever, getting them, making them a sandwich and then sorting out the stage and stuff. And I was like, I was thinking, well, that's a cool way of meeting bands and maybe getting in with studios and stuff. I find that almost more depressing. It's like, I don't know what's happened. You sort of seeing bands playing, but the music was changing as well, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
by 2007, maybe, I don't know, I'd sort of lost interest a bit, I guess, maybe. Not in the bands I loved, but definitely in just music generally. It sort of wasn't quite as good as it had been. And then I moved away. I think we just had enough, really. It's quite good. I think we decided just draw a line. That was that. I'd go and do something else. And I just felt like otherwise, just leave it at a certain level rather than just watch it sort of decline into painful nothing. So we just left it and just walked away, really. I don't know if that suited everyone the same. I don't know, but that's what we did. And then I ended up I moved to Scotland for a bit and then just moved to Spain. Yeah. And that was great. I felt great about that. Yeah. It's a
Okay.
good time. And yeah.
That fair play, yeah. And then at what point did you meet Amy Jo then? Did you form a
Oh,
band with her in Spain?
yeah. So, um,
This is Amy Jo Doherty, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So 2000 and, I can't remember, 8, I guess, maybe something like that, or 9. Um, yeah, it was, me and my partner were living in Madrid, and we've got 2 daughters now. They were both born in Madrid, and my eldest daughter was basically just been born. She was a toddler, really. She was very young, uh, and so my wife was taking her to like um, we're in Spain, so she was taking her to like sort of in English little creches and stuff and sing along things, and she came back one night and she went, "Oh, I've got someone coming round for tea." I was like, "All right, cool." She plays the guitar and she makes the song, sings the songs for the little ones the at the nursery thing. I was like, "Yeah, cool, yeah." I was like thinking, "Yeah, it's great. We're here. We don't really know that many people and stuff." And then Amy Jo came round, and and she came round. We had tea. We had a glass of wine and stuff. Had a chat, and then she went away. And then she started coming round every week at the same time, like a Sunday night, I think it was. So she'd sort of come around, and then after a bit, I'd say, "What songs do you play?" And but I think by that point, my wife had said, "Oh, that's do you know who that is?" And I was like, yeah, it's Amy Jo. She was like, but do you know who she is? No, she went, oh, that's Peter's sister. I was like, Peter who? Oh, Peter. Oh, was it? Oh, right, yeah. And so she came round and I was like, she was playing songs. We ended up doing covers. We're playing like Beatles songs and stuff. And then one night I was like, do you write songs? And she went, nah, I don't. I was like, go on, you do, don't you? And she went, well, I'll play one or something. And then she started, and from that point, we just started writing songs. That was great. Um, that was mad. But she's now, Angel's great. I mean, she's like, you know, she's just, she's a close friend really with the family. She was there when my little ones were growing up and stuff, and she'd come round and play them the guitar and stuff. That's what I should have been doing, isn't it? Play them the guitar and stuff, some songs, and yeah, yeah. So it was cool. So it was great. So then we formed the band the Ezra Beats, and we're kind of like a folk kind of, I don't know, like I think it was called anti-folk was the pretentious term for it.
Right.
Yeah. So we just go and play. We play around Madrid for like the first gig was on the underground on the tube on the metro. And then we played a little bar, and then we played a few different bars one night, and then we got a regular slot, and then we played a few bit, and then we had someone saying, "Well, we could record some songs," and just sort of, and then I was kind of going, "Yeah, I don't know," I sort of, and then the press found out, I think, that well, there's suddenly at one point the press were like, well, I mean, we were on the front page of the national newspaper. It went from like playing in some bars and stuff to the front page of El País, which is like a daily
Front
telegraph.
page. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's a massive like broadsheet newspaper as well, not the tabloids.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, this guy wants to take a photo and just do an interview." I was like, "All right, okay." So we sort of got dressed up and there was a photographer and did the whole interview and stuff. And then the next day, it's like on the front page, and everyone's like going, "Oh, I saw you in the newspaper." And I was going, "What the hell's happening?" But they were interviewing us about the music, which was cool. But also, I think they'd sussed out a little bit that they had a Doherty in Madrid
Hmm.
writing songs. So that was a bit weird. Not for me, I didn't mind, but I don't know. I think having Amy Jo as a close friend, it was tricky a bit. Yeah,
Yeah, it
but
must be something she
great.
has to wrestle with all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and also yeah, a lot of people, not a lot. Sometimes people would ask awkward questions. I guess maybe I don't know. I don't really want to
Yeah.
speak. I don't really want to speak for her. But yeah, it was. But we had great. But we had yeah, it was brilliant times. Really, really just fun. No record labels. None of that sort of. In the later days of the Mardous, none of that kind of stressy. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And Amy Jo was amazing. Like it just she's like so up. Well, you know her, you chatted to her, didn't you? She's so
Yeah. Yeah.
upbeat and chatty and just, oh, we're thinking we could come and play in your bar on Friday. Bring your shakers. I think it was shakers. And everyone, and it'd just be a party. So it'd be a bit like, in that respect, like the scene in London. It'd be all your mates. They just come and bring some bottles of wine. And in Spain, it's just like everyone drinks like a fish anyway. So the bars would be just like giving out drinks and it was great. And then we sort of play there. Then we got on the yeah, it was a bit insane. I mean, we played some mental like in some ways like bigger than the Mardous gigs, like or deals. We played like there was a thing that was this like the Spanish John Peel, right? This guy who's a DJ, and he was celebrating his what would it have been? So many years doing his show, like a huge amount of number of years doing his show. I can't remember. Anyway, we played the session for that show live on national Spanish radio, and I was just going, like, we hardly rehearsed. We're just playing a song that we wrote. I was sort of saying, and she was doing the interview because her Spanish is pretty good and mine's terrible. I was sort of trying to keep up with the interview, speaking my horrendous Spanish on. And at the end, I was like, how many people were listening? And the guy said it's something stupid, like half the population of Spain have the radio on for this. But today's a special day. I was just going,
Wow.
what? That was, yeah, it was sort of mm, really fun, but also a bit irresponsible. I don't know, of me probably. But
He
that was
played
cool.
some gigs with Peter at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. So it's sort of we played we well we played quite a few Spanish gigs. He would mostly when he was doing his solo his sort of solo stuff, his solo albums. Played Madrid and Barcelona and stuff. And then in France quite a bit. We'd sort of travel up through from Spain, excuse me, into France. I remember playing like Bordeaux and yeah, load of places. So there you go. So yeah, Peter is big and like really big in France for sure. Like his solo shows would sell out like massive, like big places, and we'd go on and play first. And then it got really weird because then we come back. He'd play in the UK, and we'd come and open for him in the UK, which is a bit weird. But as the Ezra Beats, obviously with the Ezra Beats at that point, that was cool, but that was weird as well. And
Yeah,
then,
Amy Jo described one gig in Manchester where
oh,
did you have to play instead of him or something, or they were gonna
yeah,
remove you from the bill or something? I don't know.
I think the whole thing was running late. First of all, like we flew in, oh God, and we stayed at that big Manchester hotel, the big tall one, which is like really nice. So we're in there. There's all sorts of shenanigans going on. Like there's sort of security on the door for Peter, I think, because people, not for him, well, partly for him not to get out, but also for people not to get in. Someone, and we're all just going.
Right.
So then we had to get to the venue, and that's all like cloak and dagger taxis and stuff. So there's all that stuff going on. And then we got to the venue, and there was like the Manchester Mafia pretty much were there. And they were just like, I remember walking in, and like, we had guitars and stuff. I remember one massive guy just saying to me, "You out." And Amy Jo was like, "He's with me." And the guy goes, "I don't care who he's with. He's leaving." And then Peter appeared and he went, "Mate, if he doesn't get in, the gig's off." And the guy just went, "No, no, no, he was always welcome. In you come." And I was just going, this is a bit nuts. And then so everything was late and they said we couldn't play. And again, Peter was like, if they don't play, I'm going home. So we went on and played, but they're all chucking bottles and stuff. We went on stage actually, and I plugged my guitar in, and it was just insane. Like it's just people just booing and chucking bottles. And I plugged my guitar in, and I was going, and we both, Amy Jo and I, looked at each other, and we both sort of smiled. And Ben was actually playing that night with us. He was playing guitar, Ben from the Mardous. And I sort of looked across, and I went, "Let's do it." And I hit the first thing, and the lead wasn't in right, or it was faulty or something, and it just gave this horrendous feedback, and everyone just started chucking the bottles at me. And then we just fixed it and started playing. And I remember coming off and then going backstage and Peter saying to Amy Jo, like, "You idiots, I would have just left." And I was just, "Jeez, what are we doing here?" But it was great. It was a great experience. But
Why was that then? The crowd was just impatient at that point.
yeah, they've been waiting a long time and everyone's just pissed up and really just like, they wanted Peter to go on and play.
Yeah.
And like, I think we probably turned up wearing like, I think the thing at that time was Amy Jo would wear like Hawaii lace and like the flowers and stuff, and she probably put them on the mic stands. And I was probably wearing a pink shirt or something. As soon as we walked on, I could see the crowd just going, "Get these two clowns off." I was going, "Whoa!" It's when you start questioning your life choices.
Yeah, is
Good
it kind of
fun,
like
though.
midnight or something at that point as well?
It was really late. Yeah, it was. I think no, I think the curfew was something like 11.
Right.
So I think this would have been at like maybe I'm guessing now. It's in my diary. I need to check. Was something like 10:15 or something. Oh no,
Right, right.
maybe 10 o'clock or something. But I think we only played like probably. I was terrified, man. I wanted to get home.
Yeah, I can't
We just
imagine,
play
yeah.
2 songs and then leave. Yeah. Yeah. I think we played like 3 or 4 songs. And but Amy Jo doesn't care. She was by the end of it, the crowd were like, she would be getting them all clapping in time and stuff. I was just going, this is nuts. Probably someone also like, you know, oh, she's just really good at. Yeah, she doesn't care. She's like a punk hippie. She's got that punk mentality, but she loves everyone.
Yeah, yeah. I could tell talking to her, I was like, it's definitely the type of person that like get on with anyone type thing.
Yeah, yeah, she's really lovely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened with that then? That come to a close at some point, I guess.
Yeah, that was just life really, and I was really sad to not carry on with that really. We had to decide. I mean, by that point our children were a bit older, so we decided to come back to the UK. They had to go to school. We just basically had to decide: are we staying in Spain pretty much forever,
Hmm.
get to school here, or we come back to the UK? And we decided to come back. That was a really hard choice. I really enjoyed, in some ways, that band. Well, it was just easier. It was just no stress and no, everything was just fun, you know. So that was hard to leave. Um, but yeah, it was great times and made a great friend out of it. So that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're coming back to the Mardous because you've decided to, yeah, 20 years on from the Poptones daily saying you're gonna put the music out now, is that right?
That's right, mate. Yeah. So Yeah, so we're going to do, we've got, I think we're going to do 3, 4, or maybe even 5 singles. We've got quite a lot of stuff that we've had that we've kind of been sitting on. So we're going to do a single at the end of January, another one mid-Feb, I think the 14th, another one the end of Feb, and then the album will be out probably in March. And we're just going to, it's so much, it's so, life in some ways is so simple now, isn't it? You can just put music out quite easily. And I think it's just, I felt like for a long time, like, I think we all kind of felt a bit like we'd vanished. The band had vanished, even though we felt that we'd done a lot and we worked really hard and we're part of an amazing scene. Like if you looked for us anywhere, kind of invisible. So it was just, but more than anything else, it's just, it's 20 years, isn't it? Stick the music out. Maybe it'll get a couple of listens, maybe it won't, but it's just fun, you know. And
Yeah.
proud to be part of that scene because it was great. And yeah. So we've got I think we're gonna put out Tonic and Gin, which is gonna be the first single, which was gonna be the next single on Poptones. So that's kind of it's only 20 years. So we'll put that out. And we've got some stuff that we never played to anyone that we're gonna put out. And I think there's talk of some gigs. I was chatting to Tom Paddington at the weekend, and I know those guys have got some gigs in Hull. Tom said, "Do you guys want to come up and play?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'd love to." And he said, "Well, let's talk." So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we'll go up and it'll be amazing to play with those guys again. It was so amazing. Um,
Yeah.
they'll be in London. I'm sure we'll catch up, but we'll do a few of our own bits and bobs as well, and we'll see what happens. It's just for fun, you know.
Not a nice one. Like you say, you can just enjoy it these days rather than worry about the
Yeah,
pressures
yeah.
or whatever.
Enjoy it. It's a bit of a reunion, isn't it? And just catch up with folk and just maybe also just say, "How's it going?" And sorry we didn't say bye and how's life and all that stuff, you know, which is quite nice. It's really
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
yeah, it's nice to be a bit older as well in some ways. I don't really care anymore, do you know what I mean? I'm
No,
not
I don't
never
know what
going
you
to be
mean.
cool again, so not like I ever was, but I had hair at some, I've got hair, but my hair used to do cool stuff, now it just sits on my head. Too old.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, to be fair.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Well, always ask people to finish on what was the high point about back in the day, and is there anything you do differently?
Okay. That's a good question. The high point was for me was kind of the kinship, really. The bands that we sort of were privileged to hang out with, to be around, to be part of that. I keep saying scene. I've started saying scene. This is the first time I called it a scene, I think. Part of that whole crowd at the time. So it was like, I suppose, hanging out with bands that you really had huge amount of respect for as well. That was a bit of a thrill. That was a big thrill. Um, but just having loads of good mates who were all doing the same stuff, all doing the same gear, all writing songs and playing their songs and just having a laugh with it, traveling up and down in the back of the van and hanging out in pubs together, and that was great. Um, maybe that's what we're trying to do now. Maybe, yeah. I feel a bit like I'm on the couch now. I've suddenly realised what I'm trying to do, relive that. But that would be cool. That'd be all right. Do another couple of gigs. That would be good. That was the highlight for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like these, I don't think I'm not brilliant at holding on to friends. I'm not very good at keeping in touch with people, but it's funny, like I am actually talking to people that I knew 20 years ago because we're all in bands. We've still got that thread that runs through it, which is quite cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And anything you do differently?
Yeah, but I don't dwell on it. I don't think it's worthwhile. I think probably I'd try and be better at maybe I'm not very good at pushing myself on people, like wear this and wear that. But we had people who were like Ben at the time was good at just going out on a limb and just speaking to people that you'd look at and go, I don't know, I can't speak to them. They're really famous or like they've got a really bad reputation. He would just do it. He just wouldn't care. And I'm glad he was in my band. Um, I was quite quiet. I'm not so quiet now because I'm old. I think when you hit like a certain age, you just stop really caring what people think of you anyway. I don't care anymore. But probably it was like a bit. probably a bit naive, definitely a bit naive, and definitely a bit scared of making mistakes at times, maybe.
Mm.
It's probably why all the bands were drunk all the time as well, though, right? Oh yes. Yeah, no big regrets. It's all good.
Nah, yeah, fair play, mate. So people can head to the Instagram to check out what's going on, basically, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm gonna say, like, if anyone's got photos of the time, that would be, send me them. I'll stick them on, and we'll have some fun with them. We'll look at it. We'll look at what everyone else was wearing. I'm making a fool of myself by showing what I was wearing at that point. So come on, there's plenty of us in that room. Come on, people. Um, yeah, man. So the Insta's there, and just look out for this. Look out for the songs, and maybe we'll see you. Maybe we'll see you on in a venue somewhere, pretending that we were once cool. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
All right, nice one, mate.
Thank you, man. I
That's
really
this.
appreciate it. Yeah, good chats.
Was my audio a bit shit for the first 20 minutes?
No, man, I didn't
Was
notice
it
at all.
not? I
No,
think I had the wrong microphone on, but it should be all right.
no, I sounded the same all the way to me. That's all.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
fair play.
yeah.
All right, nice one, mate. Well,
Good, well,
I'll stay in touch. I know I'll probably see you at Paddington's gig then, hopefully, in this
can't wait. I hope so. Yeah,
next
yeah,
few months.
yeah. Good to see you, man. If I do, yeah, nice one.
All right, mate. Take care. I'll
Yeah,
let
you
you know
too,
when it's
bud.
coming out and all that.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Cheers. See ya.